Do you sometimes just want to get away from everything? Do you dream about going on a tropical vacation to a far off island location where you can look out on the blue sea and the jungle and eat fruits straight off the tree? Well, I can't really help you about getting there physically, but I can introduce you to a game where you can play as a sorcerer on these paradise locations, and maybe you can just become the most powerful of the sorcerers on these islands. Because today on Joker Reviews, we're going to be reviewing Kahuna. The theming for Kahuna is really simple. You're playing one of two rival Kahunas or powerful sorcerers, and you're trying to prove that you're the strongest of the two by connecting these different islands with the most bridges, which allows you to get Kahuna tokens to be placed on the island when you control more of the bridge laying spots. The setup is about as easy as the theme might suggest. All you have to do is shuffle your Kahuna cards, deal out 3 face up, deal out 3 to both players, keeping the orientation of the cards the same as the orientation of the board with the turtle and dolphin symbols. Give each player their bridge tokens, their Kahuna tokens, and you're all set up and ready to play. The person who goes first is determined by the one in most desperate need of vacation. Kahuna is played in a series of turns. Turns consist of playing cards, drawing cards, laying bridges, and placing tokens on islands. So let's start with this first turn. We look at the cards in hand, and you can then play these to lay bridges connected to these islands. So let's say we want to start with JoJo. I'm going to play JoJo, and that allows us to place this bridge here. Now, we can play more cards if we want. Let's say we're also going to play Coco. So, Coco allows us to place, we're going to do this bridge here. Don't want to come off too threatening in the first turn, so we're not going to play this Bari card. We're going to leave this Bari card right here. Now that we've played all the cards we want to play, we draw a card. Fa. Oh, wow. They really want us to have Fa. So that's going to go into our hand here. Now we check to see if we control any islands. Control of an island is determined by having more than half of the bridge connections in your color. So right here we only have 2, but there's 5 connections, so we don't actually control that island yet. Now it goes on to the next person's turn. So this person's going to draw their cards. Let's see what we got here. We keep the orientation straight. We have Bari, Huna, and Aloha. So he sees that this Fa island is a target. So he's going to play this one. Try and get in on that Fa action. And he's also going to play both of these, Aloha and Huna, because they're right next to each other over here. So we're going to get Huna, and he's going to play off Aloha because he's already started building up Bari. And now he draws a card, JoJo. So that card goes there. We check to see if anybody controls any islands, and we actually have one this time. This actually is an island that he controls because you can see this bridge connection here and this one here, and there's only one left, so he controls more than half. So Aloha is his island at the moment. Now we go on to our next turn. We have Fa and Bari. We have a couple of choices of what we could do with this card. So what we could do is we could play both of these cards together, and since we have both ends of a specific connection, we are able to remove his bridge. That might be something you want to do if you are trying to like ricochet control of an island or something. But what we're actually going to do right now, which makes a little bit more sense, is we're going to play the Fa card. And that's going to give us a island connection off here. And Then we're going to play our Bari card, and that's going to give us a connection off here. So we are then going to check. Oh, we're going to draw a card first. Let's draw a card. Iffi. So we now have control of Fa because we have 3 out of the 5, which is going to cause that bridge to go away. Because once a token is placed and you have control, you get to push all of the enemy bridges into the sea, I guess. It can only be your bridges on the islands you control. So turns go back and forth in that sort of manner throughout the game. As you are drawing cards, you eventually will draw through all of these. You can also draw face-up cards if you want. You will always have 3 face-up cards until they run out. So, like, say you go through a turn and you draw this Elai card. You want that. It goes into your hand. You then replace it with the top card from the draw deck. Eventually, all of these cards will be gone. Actually, we'll keep these. They will have been turned into the discard deck. And that is when initial scoring starts. There will be 3 scoring rounds, 2 interim scoring rounds where you just pause play and you evaluate the board. On the first interim scoring, you get 1 point if you're the one who has the most tokens. And on the second one, you get 2 points if you're the one who has the most tokens. And then the last scoring section, you are getting points based on the difference between the number of tokens. So if, say, somebody has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and somebody has 3, then that person would get 2 points. If the person only had 1, then the other person would get 4 points. So that's Kahuna. Now let's talk about my final thoughts on the game. Now that you know how to play Kahuna, let's talk a little bit about my final thoughts on the game. I really like this game because it does exactly what it promises. It is a simple 2-player experience, doesn't scale beyond 2 players, and you can just pick it up, bring the box out. It's a relatively small box, so you can bring it around with you, unpack it, and even if you're playing with somebody who's never played before, you are playing this game within 3-4 minutes max. Just because it's really simple to explain, as you saw in the mechanics section, and like I said, that's exactly what it promises to be. I appreciate the components, the tokens and the bridge pieces are nicely made. The card is a decent stock. The artwork is nice, like the little turtles and the dolphins, the way that they draw the islands, and like it is what it is. It doesn't overpromise, but it definitely delivers what it does promise. And I feel like that's a trend with these Cosmos games. Like, they're relatively simple to explain, all the 2-player line that they did. They're very easy to explain. They're very easy to play, and they have enough replayability that they're not going to go immediately stale. My con with the game is that there's no other way to interact with the board or the bridge tokens or the other players outside of just the core mechanics. Like, they don't have any extra special cards that you could put in that, like, maybe like tactics cards or something that can maybe move bridges or play around with the opponent's hand or things like that. And I feel like that's something that you could easily throw in, like 5, 6, 7, probably max out at like 10 cards, where you could just throw them into the deck and people can, you don't have to play with them, but you can play with them, and there's enough like variability with those extra cards. Something like a Shot and Totten has like those tactic cards that you don't always have to play with, but you can play with them if you want, and that allows you to take this game, if you played it a fair amount of time, that it's not going to immediately go stale. So that probably would be the only thing that would knock off some points with me, but everything else, like what it promises, it lives up to it. In terms of final score, I'd probably give it around an 8, which is a good score. And I definitely like games that are scaled for 2 players that definitely come off like they're scaled for 2 players, that they're not just kind of scaling down an experience. This definitely is perfect for 2 players. You could make it bigger if you had like a bigger board or something like that. I could see you scaling it up from 2 players, but with the size board that you're playing with and the amount of cards and everything, it's definitely designed for 2 players. That would be cool, like an expansion where it's a bigger board or something like that. That would definitely be something that I would be interested in. If you want to pick up your own copy of Kahuna, and it's relatively inexpensive almost every time that I've seen it, definitely check out the link down below. There's no extra cost to you, but it really helps out the channel. Hit that like button, leave a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite two-player game is, and I want that to be a two-player game that is designed for two players and no more. And let me know, because I'm always looking to add to my two-player game collection. I really like two-player scaled games. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you know what's up, and I'll catch you in the next game review, guys.